exhibit about the Jewish refugees in Shanghai, China during the which is on display in the basement of the library in the hub just below us here. We're very grateful to the Confucius Institute and particularly to its director, Wajing Maskey, and to her staff. I'd like to especially thank Catherine Todd, who is off at the airport at the moment rescuing one of our speakers whose flight yesterday was canceled and was coming in late, but Haiyan Lee, who will be here later today, Summer Gao, who is here, and Daniel Rogers and the other members of the staff who have worked with us on the arrangements. When we learned that the Shanghai Jews exhibit was going to be here, we wanted to arrange a program that would take advantage of the presence of the exhibit, but which would look at some themes that are not so directly related, perhaps, to the experience of the approximately 18,000 Jewish refugees who found shelter in Shanghai, China during the Second World War, but at some of the issues that that experience raises. And together with my colleague Liang Luo in our Department of Chinese Studies, we came up with the idea of exploring the theme of comparing the moral attitudes toward the care of strangers in the Jewish tradition and in the Chinese tradition. Jews, when we celebrate our holiday of Passover every year, we are reminded that we should be hospitable to strangers because we were strangers in the land of Egypt many centuries ago. China also has a long tradition, as we will hear today, of dealing with strangers, with outsiders, and of course that is very much related to the fact that the population of Shanghai took in these Jewish strangers during the Second World War. We've invited 4 speakers who will explore various aspects of this theme. Professor Daniel Frank will be our first speaker this morning from the Department of Philosophy at Purdue University, and I'll introduce him in more detail in just a minute. He will be followed this morning by one of our own faculty, Professor Jianzhen He, who is in Chinese Studies here at the University of Kentucky. In the afternoon, we're very pleased to have as our keynote speaker Professor Haiyan Lee from Stanford University, whose newly published book, it just came out a couple of months ago, The Stranger and the Chinese Moral Imagination, fits so perfectly with our symposium theme. And our fourth speaker will be Professor Steve Hochstadt from Illinois College, who has written a very important book about the Jewish refugees in Shanghai. For those of you who are able to stay with us all day, at the end of Professor Hochstadt's lecture, we'll have a short tour of the exhibit down in the basement, and at 4 p.m. there will be a reception with food in the alumni gallery next door, to which you're all invited. Before I introduce our first speaker, I'd also like to thank some other people who've been essential to make both the exhibit and this symposium possible. In the back of the room is Tony Grider from the W.T. Young Library, who has worked with us on all the arrangements and on getting the exhibit downstairs set up. And Tony, we couldn't have done it without you. And I'd also like to thank, in addition to the Confucius Institute, which has provided most of the funding for this program, we have gotten financial support from the UK Department of History and the UK Jewish Studies program.